I impulsively called out to a woman who looked exactly like Emily, but then I came to my senses.
Emily is gone now.
Oh, sorry, I mistook you for someone else.
Just as I was about to apologize, the woman widened her eyes and said, "Jason, is that you? Wait, how do you know my name?" I stammered in surprise, and she moved closer, saying, "I knew it, you're Jason, right? My name is Jason. I'm a 30-year-old ordinary office worker, or so I'd like to say, but I lost both my legs 3 years ago. I'm heading to work now. I'm going to work with my prosthetic legs. Though I could commute in a wheelchair, I'm still not used to people's stares. Maybe I'm overly self-conscious, but the looks from others make me avoid using a wheelchair as much as possible. After the accident, I was grateful that my company continued to employ me. So I moved to an apartment close to the office so I could commute with prosthetics. I'm off," I said to a photo hanged by the front door. The photo shows a woman with a bright smile holding a certificate. It's a picture of my ex-girlfriend, Emily, whom I dated until 3 years ago. When I see her photo, the horrific scenes of the accident vividly come back to me. 4 years ago, when I was 26, I had been in the track and field club since middle school, choosing long-distance running, and continued through high school and college. Even as a working adult, I participated in various competitions. I met Emily in a marathon club I joined when running alone started to feel lonely. She was a lively 23-year-old with big, round eyes and plump lips. She was 3 years younger than me, with a dazzling smile. Emily had been a middle-distance runner since high school and had challenged herself to full marathons as an adult. Her smile after reaching her goal distance was especially radiant, and no man could resist her when she asked for a high five with that smile. With every high five, I fell more in love with her, and when I finally confessed my feelings, not expecting much, I was overwhelmed with joy when she said yes. After that, we went running in various places, not just with the club. We especially loved running in areas with a good view. Once, we tried sand training on the beach, but the sand tripped us up, and it was a disaster. Emily said she'd never go back, so when we went to the beach, we stuck to well-maintained cycling paths for a more pleasant run. A year into our relationship, as we began to think about marriage, we planned an overnight trip together. A beautiful inn in the mountains where the autumn leaves were stunning. We rented a car and took a scenic drive. We arrived early, ran among the autumn leaves, soaked in the hot springs, and stayed overnight. We ran a little in the early morning, took another bath, and then headed home. Running amidst the autumn leaves was truly refreshing, and we laughed together the entire time. We stopped at a famous church along the way and bought small charms. I never imagined that the cute charm we bought as a small souvenir would become something I despised. We took turns driving. The car rental place was near the station, where traffic was heavy. I said I would drive the last stretch, but Emily wanted to drive, so I let her take the wheel. I still regret that decision. As we approached the station, the traffic increased. Suddenly, a large van swerved into our lane. The moment we were hit, I lost consciousness. It was a drunk driver. Close to the station. Lots of bars around. I don't know the driver's story. They died on the spot. Alcohol was detected in the driver's blood, confirming they were driving drunk. Frankly, I didn't care about any of that. I was engulfed in despair. I survived but lost both my legs below the knees. Is there a greater despair than waking up to find your legs gone? Yes, there is. The van crashed directly into the driver's seat. Emily, who was driving, didn't stand a chance. She died in that accident. I didn't care about my legs. I didn't even care about my life. All I wanted was for Emily to be alive. Nothing else mattered. Give her back to me. When I found the charm we had bought, I was filled with even more rage. I threw it away, useless as it was, and lashed out in my hospital bed, causing trouble for the nurses. It was a week after my admission that my days of lamenting came to an end. Emily's parents came to visit me. Emily had been driving. They apologized that I lost my legs because of their daughter's driving. Seeing them, who had also lost their daughter so unfairly, finally brought me back to my senses. If I had been driving, maybe Emily would still be alive. If I hadn't suggested the trip that day. If I hadn't said to take a rental car. If we had chosen a different rental company. Emily might still be alive. Please, don't apologize. Losing Emily was my fault. Emily's parents interrupted my words, scolding me not to say such things. She was looking forward to introducing you to us. She spoke so happily about you every time she came home. She was happy. So, we want you to live a happy life for her. It's not your fault. Please, don't say that, Emily's father implored with tears in his eyes. Emily's mother added, when you're ready, please come and pay your respects to our daughter. For the first time, I realized I hadn't even been able to attend Emily's funeral. How pathetic. In the end, I was only thinking about myself. If I kept wallowing in self-pity, Emily would hate me. I had made her parents cry. I nodded and said, thank you. I will definitely go. I will live. I spoke the words with determination. However, I couldn't bring myself to say I would live happily. Even so, Emily's parents smiled at me. After that, I took medical leave, receiving sickness benefits while undergoing intense rehabilitation, and eventually returned to work. The rehabilitation with prosthetics was incredibly tough. My movements were awkward, and the skin at the amputation site was constantly sore. I might as well just live in a wheelchair, I thought, but then I remembered Emily. I had promised to live life to the fullest. To live in a way that Emily would be proud of. Emily was the driving force behind my grueling rehab. After enduring months of rehabilitation, I began a life using both a wheelchair and prosthetics. But primarily relied on the prosthetics for everything except long-distance travel. I visited Emily's parents' house only once to pay my respects. My family accompanied me, and I traveled in a wheelchair. Together with my parents, I visited her grave, and our parents, who might have become in-laws had we married, conversed peacefully. Seeing Emily's parents looking brighter than when I was hospitalized gave me a little comfort. It's been over 3 years since then. I now live a normal life as a company employee with prosthetic legs. However, memories of the accident and my feelings for Emily are still vivid, and they often resurface, causing me pain. Even now, as I stand at a crosswalk, a woman with a hairstyle similar to Emily's catches my eye. But, no way. A shock ran through my mind. The woman's profile, with her long black hair tied in a similar fashion, looked just like Emily's. Her big, round eyes and plump lips were identical to Emily's. She looked just like Emily. Just as I was about to call out, the woman quickly started walking. The light turned green. Wait! I shouted impulsively, trying to run, but then remembered. My legs were prosthetic, and I couldn't run as I used to. If I pushed myself, I might fall and break a bone. Frustration gnawed at me as I couldn't chase after her. But hearing my small shout, the woman turned around. Even from the front, she looked just like Emily. However, of course, it wasn't her. Emily had a slightly bulbous nose, which I found charming, though she was self-conscious about it. The woman in front of me had a perfectly straight nose. Seeing what could have been Emily's ideal face, I blushed. Oh, sorry, I mistook you for someone else. Just as I was about to apologize, the woman widened her eyes and said, Jason, is that you? Wait, how do you know my name? I stammered, and she moved closer, saying, I knew it, you're Jason, right? But then glanced at her watch and exclaimed, oh no. I'm almost late. Please give me your contact info. I'm Emily's cousin, Jessica, she spoke quickly as we exchanged contact information, then she left in a rush. I stood there, stunned. I spent the day in a daze, making mistake after mistake at work. As soon as work ended, I checked my phone and saw a message from her. It read, I'm sorry about this morning. I recognized you from photos Emily showed me, so I was surprised. Would you like to meet for a meal sometime? I'd like to talk about Emily. I was honestly torn. Thinking of Emily still makes me cry. Despite telling myself it wasn't my fault, I couldn't fully convince myself. She must have been close to Emily if she had seen pictures of me. What could she possibly want to talk about with the person who took her dear cousin away? I regrettably ignored her invitation. The next morning. I'm off. I said, as usual, to Emily's photo before heading to work. Good morning, said Jessica, pouting, waiting for me at the crosswalk. Why didn't you reply to my message? When I awkwardly said, "I forgot," she sighed. "I'm almost late again today. Being here at this time is really bad for me." She spoke quickly. "So, please tell me when we can meet. When is your next day off?" "I don't have time, so hurry up." As I fumbled for an answer, she said, I don't have time. Please message me. Otherwise, I'll be almost late again tomorrow. It's a problem." With that, she ran off. Her running form, so similar to Emily's, was beautiful, and I couldn't help but stare. I couldn't have her ambushing me every morning on my way to work. I decided to meet with her. We arranged to have lunch on my day off. I didn't want to walk far, so I chose a nearby cafe. On the day of our meeting, the woman who looked so much like Emily, Jessica, was waiting in casual clothes in front of the cafe. I was surprised to see that I had arrived 10 minutes early myself. "You're early. Sorry to keep you waiting." When I apologized, she shook her head. "Don't apologize for being 10 minutes early. Let's go in." Her slightly brisk manner reminded me of Emily. A pang of guilt struck my heart. I felt guilty for seeing Emily in her. We ordered lunch, and Jessica started talking. "Nice to meet you properly, I'm Jessica. My father and Emily's father are brothers, so we're cousins." "Nice to meet you," she said with a smile. It seemed the entire family was close, gathering every year for the holidays. She was 4 years younger than Emily, but the cousins were mostly boys, so Emily was the one she talked to the most. Emily and I always shared our love lives. When you confessed to her, she was over the moon and told me all about it. She showed me your picture back then and many times after. I nodded in understanding. "So that's why you recognized me." I was really surprised since it's been over 3 years. She chuckled and responded, "Even if she showed me just one picture, I would have recognized you. I'm good at remembering faces." She smiled, but it faded quickly. "I couldn't find you at the funeral. I heard later you were hospitalized. And that you have prosthetic legs now." I nodded silently. "Can't you run?" I frowned, not understanding her question. "After Emily passed away, I started running marathons because she loved them." Her words made my heart race. "Why don't we aim for the Honolulu Marathon together?" Jessica looked at me with clear, unwavering eyes. I sighed. "There's no way I can do that." I turned away, but she calmly asked, "Why not?" I couldn't help but get angry. "Because I don't have legs." I tried to keep my voice low, but it echoed through the cafe. However, Jessica didn't back down. "You can run with prosthetics." I grimaced. "There are many runners who use prosthetic legs." "Did you know there are sports prosthetics?" Jessica said this as she handed me a brochure. It showed various specialized prosthetics. "It's something often seen at the Paralympics. I'm not interested in running to that extent. Walking normally is already quite painful. Besides, running reminds me of Emily. I just can't." Jessica then placed another piece of paper on the table. This time, it was a small piece of paper. Seeing it made my heart skip a beat. It's Emily's last New Year's card. The postcard had a photo of Emily and me at a marathon we participated in. I had run a full marathon, and Emily had completed a half marathon. In the photo, we were high-fiving, holding our certificates. My vision blurred. The card read, "Happy New Year, Jessica. I'm probably at home with you right now. I completed a marathon with my boyfriend, Jason. I want to challenge a full marathon and someday run the Honolulu Marathon. I'll do my best." Tears threatened to fall, and I quickly wiped them away. I couldn't let the postcard get wet. Just then, our lunch arrived. "Let's eat while it's hot." Jessica pretended not to notice my tears and started eating her lunch silently. I picked up my spoon and sipped the soup. The gentle taste warmed my heart. I thought about it while having lunch. Whether or not to run a marathon again. No matter how hard I tried, the answer was no. Sports prosthetics aren't covered by insurance and are expensive. It's been over 3 years since I last ran, and I don't think I can do it now. I need to go through rehab again to be able to run. It will probably be quite painful and take a lot of time.
Most importantly, running would constantly remind me of Emily. But there was also a part of me that wanted to dismiss these negative thoughts.
Even if they're expensive, the insurance payout from the accident could cover it. I've been running since middle school. I could overcome the blank period.
No matter how tough the rehab, I could endure it.
If thinking about Emily helped me get through it, I could handle it.
Because Emily had wanted to run the Honolulu Marathon with me. Running the Honolulu Marathon had actually been my dream. When I talked about it, Emily would shake her head, saying it was impossible.
She would support me instead.
Yet, on the New Year's card, she had written that running the Honolulu Marathon was her dream. She had intended to run it with me. She had envisioned the dream of finishing in Honolulu and high-fiving together.
"I'll do it," I muttered quietly. Jessica looked puzzled. She probably hadn't heard me. I looked straight ahead at Jessica. "I'm going to start running marathons again. I'm going to contact the company that makes these prosthetics." Jessica smiled.
That smile reminded me of Emily, making me feel guilty for neglecting Jessica in front of me, so I mentally punched myself. It turned out that the company that makes sports prosthetics was where Jessica worked.
"I'm in sales, by the way,
but thank you for contributing to our revenue," Jessica said with a big smile.
I chuckled and said, "Might as well order the most expensive one then."
We carefully measured my size and placed a custom order. A few months later, the prosthetics arrived. Nervously, I put them on and tried running, but it didn't go as smoothly as I had hoped.
However, my heart was excited. I jumped a little. It was a sensation I couldn't feel with my regular prosthetics. The feeling of pushing off the ground and bouncing as I started to run. That sensation was definitely there. Jessica patiently helped with my training.
Being in sales, she was knowledgeable about the prosthetics and quickly adjusted them when I felt any pain. It took a significant amount of time just to run slowly, and eventually to run a mile.
Jessica supported my slow, turtle-paced progress with dedication.
One day, when I finally managed to run 2 miles,
I lay on the park grass, out of breath. Finally, 2 miles. I ran 2 miles.
I smiled with satisfaction, and Jessica smiled back.
"That's amazing. You're doing so well. It's incredible."
Her cheerful smile made my heart flutter.
"Should we start thinking about participating in a race? There's a 5-mile division, right?" Jessica was excited, but I pondered. If I'm going to enter a race,
I want to at least run 10 miles. When I said that, Jessica smiled with satisfaction.
"I feel like I'm taking up so much of your time.
I should probably buy something more expensive to make it worth your while."
Suppressing the feelings I was beginning to have, I joked, but Jessica's face clouded. "I'm not doing this for work."
Her words made me sit up in a hurry.
"Sorry. This is for Emily, not work. To fulfill Emily's dream."
I started to say, but Jessica interrupted with a small shout.
"No."
I was confused by her words. Jessica also seemed startled by her own outburst.
"No, I mean, yes, for Emily. 4 Emilys,"
she murmured, and tears welled up in her eyes. She quickly hid her face and stood up.
"Sorry. I can't do this anymore. I have to go." With that, she quickly walked away.
I tried to chase after her, but pain shot through my legs.
I pounded the ground. Damn it! Can't even chase after the girl I like.
I was shocked by my own thoughts.
Do I have feelings for Jessica? I ruffled my hair in frustration.
I'm the worst, seriously. I curled up alone in the park, unable to move for a while.
6 months passed. Jessica didn't appear.
I often hesitated to send a message but always held back. Even when visiting her company for prosthetic maintenance, I went straight to the maintenance building, avoiding looking for her as much as possible.
What am I going to say to Jessica with these half-hearted feelings? Holding Emily's photo, I questioned myself. Even when Jessica didn't come, I kept up with my training.
Running helped me avoid thinking about unnecessary things. No, to avoid unnecessary thoughts, I just kept running towards my goal.
And that day, I reached my 5-mile goal. After finishing, I lay down and muttered to myself, I did it. I ran 5 miles. I did it, Jessica. Then I suddenly realized something. I caught my breath and slowly stood up. Ah, I see. Thank you, Emily. I thanked Emily in my heart. I'm sorry. Emily's smiling face appeared in my mind. I love Jessica, I said clearly to the night sky, imagining Emily's smile. I shed tears. They were tears of farewell to my feelings for Emily. She will always be in my heart. But I want to cherish Jessica. A few months later, I sent a brief message to Jessica. I'm running in the 10-mile division at tomorrow's marathon. I sent it with just that. The last message I sent was a year ago. I hadn't been in contact with Jessica for a year. She might have a boyfriend, or she might have moved away. She might have plans for tomorrow. It didn't matter if she didn't come. I just wanted to convey my feelings. As I pondered these things, the message was marked as read. That alone was satisfying. But then, a reply came. I'll definitely be there. Her reply made me smile. The weather was perfect. The air was a bit chilly. The longer distance full marathon group started first. The sound of the starting gun brought back nostalgic feelings. It was almost time for the 10-mile marathon to start. As I stood up slowly and did some warm-up exercises. Long time no see. There was Jessica. She was wearing a race bib. I was stunned. Wait, you're running too? When I asked, she tilted her head. Is that strange? I told you I started running marathons after Emily passed away, didn't I? Come to think of it, that's what she said. While training with me, she matched my pace, so I had forgotten about it. Ever since I stopped seeing you, I've been participating in the 10-mile races around here. I always believed that one day I would see you again, Jessica said, biting her lip. If I could see you, if we could really meet again, this time. I stopped her from finishing her sentence. At the finish line, there's something I want to tell you, I said, looking straight into her eyes. Jessica pressed her lips together and nodded. Let's finish the race. She smiled, and I smiled back. Yeah. Let's do our best. The starting gun for the 10-mile race echoed. I started from the back. It was to avoid falling. I kept a steady pace, running calmly. The crowd gradually thinned out, making it easier to run. I picked up my pace a little. I tried not to look for Jessica. I just focused on running towards the finish line. My breath became labored, and my breathing grew difficult. Cold air filled my lungs. I loved that feeling. At some point, I was running with a smile. Fueled by the cheers of the crowd, I pushed forward step by step towards the finish line. My time was far from impressive. Compared to when I was healthy, it was terrible. But I finished. That was enough. As I crossed the finish line, I saw Jessica waiting with a towel. I ran to her, and she wrapped the towel around me. Congratulations on finishing. Jessica's voice was trembling with tears. Jessica, congratulations to you too. I love you, Jessica. The words I wanted to say at the finish line. I just wanted to tell her. I wished I could have told her sooner. Jessica sat down slowly, wrapping the towel around me. She guided me to sit down carefully so I wouldn't fall. But, what about Emily? Tears welled up in Jessica's eyes. Yeah. I'm sorry, Emily will always be in my heart, I said, and Jessica shook her head. But, I want to cherish you, Jessica. Is that okay? Jessica shook her head while looking down. It's not okay. I mean, it's not that it's not okay. I wanted to tell you that I liked you if we met at the race, but I thought these feelings would be in vain. Yes, that's what Jessica murmured. Every time I thought I liked you. I felt guilty towards Emily, but I kept running in these races, thinking if I ever saw you, I would ask if it was okay to confess my feelings. She confessed, her voice shaking. What did Emily say? I asked her calmly. She opened the hand she had been holding closed. I was shocked by what lay in her palm. This was in Emily's wallet. I was strangely drawn to it and kept it as a memento, placing it on my desk with Emily's photo. But one day, it went missing. When I asked the photo on my desk if I could confess my feelings to you, I suddenly heard a thud, and it fell from behind the desk. I took it as her answer. "It's okay," she was saying. Jessica's words stopped. Because I was crying uncontrollably. In her palm was the cute charm we had bought together at the church during our last trip. The one I had thrown away in the hospital after the accident. "Emily, thank you." I clasped Jessica's hand, holding the charm. "We'll definitely finish the Honolulu Marathon one day," I said through tears, and Jessica smiled. "Yes, no matter how many years it takes, no matter how old we get, let's do our best together." I held out my hand to Jessica. Noticing it, we high-fived. We smiled at each other, dreaming of the future. Imagining us high-fiving in Hawaii. For that dream, I would overcome any obstacle. Under the clear winter sky, I made a vow.